Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bry Guy and welcome today to another DCS World video. Today we are going to start the campaign in the Mi-8, the Magnificent 8, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. This is all thanks to Bunyap Sims and his wonderful work that he's done with various missions and campaigns and various aircraft. And he said somewhere on the forums, I think, or maybe on the subreddit, that if he saw other people doing missions like he did, that he would watch it. And I thought, why don't I do that? So here we go. We're in the Mi-8, obviously, and we're going to give the campaign a go. We have just the one campaign, Spring Tension. It's early spring in South Ossetia. The only reminder left of the Georgian attack is the debilitated peacekeepers camp on the edge of Chinval. The Russian 4th Army base is now stationed at a different location, well equipped with some comfortable new barracks, a fleet of combat and support vehicles, and a helicopter FARP station. The area still doesn't have any airports, so the only means of air transport is by helicopters, which are stationed on the airbase in the town of Java. Flight crews operate daily from here in support of the Russian troop contingent. In the mountainous area with a poorly developed road network, helicopters are an important, at times the only means of transport. Having just arrived on his new assignment, the Java airbase is now home to Captain Yuri Maskimovich, an Mi-8 pilot commander, who I assume is us. So that's a little bit of background, and let's get into it. And of course we have our traditional DCS briefing. Our first mission is called Documents. And we have what looks like our overview of the mission. So we've got our initial start point. Oh, let's see. Let's read the briefing and see what actually happens. Welcome, Yuri Maskimovich. That's not the name that I just read, but okay. We've been waiting for you. Lieutenant Colonel Anowin, base CO, greeted me as I reported for duty. You're here to take Captain Petrikov's position. I read your file. It seems like you were well experienced, but if I understand correctly, haven't had much time in the mountains. Is that right? That's correct, Comrade Lieutenant Colonel. They don't have very many mountains in the central uplands. Well, that's all right. Petrikov will bring you up to speed. After that, it's just a matter of getting some hours in. We'll figure it out. If you were expecting to find war out here, sorry to disappoint you. It's mostly very routine and standard combat training otherwise. The war is long over. Anyway, you've got the day to settle in. Your first flight will be tomorrow. Petrikov will show you around the area, get you in the groove, so to speak. Then you'll be in command on your own. Our crews will normally bunk together, so Petrikov will give you his quarters in the room with Lieutenant Pashkov. That's your navigator. Alexei is young, but capable. I think you'll do well together. After taking my bags up to the room, I stopped by HQ once again to take care of the remaining paperwork. Alexei Pashkov then gave me a short tour of the airbase. Alexei seemed quite pleasant, if a bit on the sarcastic side. After his little tour, any questions I may have had about the base were answered, most before I had a chance to ask. The next morning, I was already receiving my orders for the day. We were to deliver a packet of documents to the main base and run a few supply drops to some of the checkpoints in the area. Petrikov took his position in the right pilot seat, and Alexei got comfortable in the cabin. Alright, and we have our objective. So, take off and land at Java, which is here. This northwest waypoint. So we're going from Java to the city of Chinval. Tishkinvali? I've heard it pronounced so many ways in these campaigns. Waypoint 2 is a bridge. Waypoint 3, RB Akhmaji. Waypoint 4 is Balani. And I guess those are just little FARPs or bases. And yeah, there's not a whole lot to do. It's just routine, get in the air, deliver some stuff, and get from there. And this is just more of a overview about the area and how to use the grid numbering system, which we're not too concerned with. So if we look at the mission planner itself, we can see that, oh, excuse me, it is relatively straightforward. There's not a whole lot of distance to fly, and if we wanted to do this, so that's roughly 30, let's call it like 35 miles, 18 miles, 20 miles. Alright, so we're flying a good distance, so this should be pretty entertaining as we go, so let's get right into the cockpit, shall we?
After takeoff, proceed to the initial waypoint, then take heading 150 along the river towards Tinval.
Alright, welcome to the Mi-8 Cockpit. First thing I want to get out of the way, disclaimer. I'm using the Mi-8 English Cockpit mod, available from the DCS World website under the download section, because it is invaluable. I can't read Russian, and this is the only reason I'm able to fly this aircraft properly. So that out of the way, let us bring up our kneeboard and find our starting checklist. Good information to know there. Alright, I'm going to use the abbreviated checklist here, but we have a extensive actual checklist, which someone pulled off a, I guess, military sort of scan website, but we're going to get this done the quick and dirty way, as it were. So batteries 1 and 2 on, inverter to auto, both of them, fuses on. Alright, bring all these circuit breakers up. And we're not going to touch these because they're to do with the weapons. Anti-ice fuses as required. It is a little bit chilly, so we're going to get our anti-icing on. It doesn't hurt. Fire extinguisher system online. Light goes out. Let's see. Fuel pump right, left, and service. So service left and right. And our fuel cutoff valves left and right. We hear those go online. APU start selector to start. And press short. Okay. Alright, we can see the APU. There's the bleed air pressure. EGT initially went up and now it's coming down and stabilizing. So looks like we are good to start. Let's get our anti-collision light on, along with some other lighting and pitot heating. And let's do a quick external view. Yep, we are in fact blinking like a Christmas tree. Alright, let's close that left-hand window. Engine start selector to left and press the switch to start and then press short here. Press long. Oh no, we're forgetting a rotor brake. Excuse me. Make sure our throttle is at idle, correct. Alright, and press short, get the auto emission on and the starter on. Watch the engine RPM pop out. The rotor RPM will slowly rise, and we're going to bring our left engine stop lever forward and allow the engine to come online. We can watch the EGT rise here. It says external power is on, but it's not actually on. Alright, so number 1 engine is coming online. When this light goes out, we can select our right engine and do the same. So start, starter on, watch number 2 come online and bring the stop lever forward. EGT rising along with engine RPM. And our rotor RPM will stabilize just above 60, and our engine RPM will stabilize just above 70%. Okay, let's get back to our number 1 pilot seat here. Alright, EGT stable, engine RPM stable, main rotor RPM rising. Will stabilize just above 60%. And EGT should not exceed 600, which it's not. Okay. Alright, next we're going to slowly throttle up. I have this mapped to a rotary on my HOTAS. We'll see our engine RPM rise to about 95%. Excuse me, the rotor RPM should rise to 95%, which it does, and the engine RPM will stabilize just above 83%, which all looks good. EGT no higher than 670, all looks good. Generators, alright, so generators 1 and 2 go on, 1 and 2, and rectifiers 1, 2, and 3 go on. Lighting as required, we have that online. Dust protection as required, and we can go ahead and turn our APU off. Alright, on our right triangular panel, we're going to flick all these bad boys up, turning on our gyros for the ADIs, microphones, Doppler power, radio powers, compass, all that jazz. And we're going to do the same thing on the left-hand panel here. So left attitude indicator, gyro cutout, pitch limiting system, and our audio warning system. All looks good there. Next we're going to do radios, but give it a moment. Autopilot pitch and roll, we're going to turn that bad boy on. And our radio altimeter, which we're going to turn on here. Goes through its self-check, and bring the bug down and back up to about 100 meters. Looks good. And that should just about do it. So once I get the radios configured, we're gonna go take off and do our hover check. I'll be right back once I get those radios configured. See you soon. Okay, welcome back. I figured out what was wrong with our radios. Two things. One, this microphone switch that I flicked up should be down for off. For whatever reason, it seems to interfere with the radios and just make it only that the intercom system works, but not the actual radios that we want to use. And secondly, there is a keybind, which is normal for radios in most aircraft. It's the backslash above the enter key, but for whatever reason, that's not the actual keybind that you need to use. And in the Mi-8, apparently, I was digging through the controls in the forums for a little bit. It's right alt backslash, and I now have that mapped to my HOTAS, and we can just request a takeoff and get a reply from the ATC.
103. Скала. Взлет по готовности. Отход по схеме на 300. Подавление 649,4,2.
Alright, so we are cleared for takeoff. Let's do a quick control hover check. Make sure we are flyable, as it were. Collective up. Cyclic aft and to the right. And a little bit of right anti-torque. Alright, we are flyable. So we want to head 150 toward the river, and then we'll head down the river toward Chimval. Here we go. And out of ground effect and into translational lift. Let's try and trim out here. Alright, that feels and looks good to me. Tell you what, it's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to take a break real quick, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, folks.